When I was 8 years old, I remember walking into a therapist's office and for the first time realizing I wasn't normal. I remember meeting a really nice lady with short brown hair. I would continue to see her every week for the next 7 years. And when I got to high school, I would continue to see therapists, and upon moving to Germany, I did as well, all of whom had short brown hair. Are you starting to sense a theme in my life? For the majority of my life, I would feel out of control of who I was, what was happening to me, and what came next. Around the same time, I was also diagnosed with dyslexia and ADD, which landed me in visits to a classroom with another really nice lady who showed me ways to learn which made sense to me. Unfortunately, I realized that these visits also made me not normal, and so did my peers. An anxiety disorder became apparent and became my main cause for academic failure, and the ADD and dyslexia did not make anything easier. At the age of 10, I remember receiving my first prescription medication called Strattera to help with the ADD. This was shortly followed with antidepressants, and then mood stabilizers, and then new kinds of pills for my ADD called Ritalin, which I would later begin to pair with caffeine, which just made my anxiety go through the roof. Then add the dose of teenage awkwardness and cruel people, and then it was time for self and body dissatisfaction. At the age of 13, I began self-harm. But in middle school, I found the performing arts. I found it an outlet for my pain. I made sense of what I was going through song and dance. But no song or dance could release the dissonant choir heckling fortissimo. By the time high school came about, I had developed bulimia, which would later become a regular cycle of starvation, binging, and purging. I would spend holidays throwing up almost every meal I ate. I would spend sleepless nights hating every inch of my being. I would have breakdowns over a photo of me. Very painfully, I was becoming this thing that I hated for causing me so much pain. I felt at fault for not being able to handle my white, privileged, middle-class stressors. It was my fault my parents were wasting so much money on meds and therapy. It was my fault the people around me were in pain. It's been the thoughts of helplessness and hopelessness that have caused the feelings that made me think, there cannot be a future worth living. There is something wrong with you that you have no control over. Nothing you do will change who you are. At the age of 15, I attempted to take my life. But in the summer of 2017, so just last year, something in me started to say enough. I was sick of being sick of myself. I started to make changes, small changes. I took small steps. Every step I took helped me take control of what came next. I learned that by making small changes and taking small steps, we have the power to take control over what comes next. My journey to improvement began with these two. Number 1, I gave myself control over who I was. Number 2, I changed my mindset from there's something wrong with you that you have no control over to get your life. Once I did this, I had the ability to start making the small changes and taking the small steps to contribute to a more positive and healthy self. Now, neither of these steps happened in a moment, and I think both of them are being taken today. But I brought up my broken bones and I started to lift my foot. An important part of this method for moving forward was accepting failure. I have had relapses and missteps all along the way. But the important thing to remember is that we have goals and not rules. We cannot break goals the way we break rules. We work towards goals. I've been able to improve two things which I had thought were genetic and out of my control: my mental and physical health. I started by actually engaging in therapy while believing I could change. The biggest part of this step was just believing that I could change. I started to identify thoughts, behaviors, and triggers that contributed to my poor mental health, and I took steps to improve these aspects one at a time. I began to exercise more. I reached out for social support. There was nothing more helpful or hope-inspiring than being able to talk about my problems with others. I educated myself about my mental and physical health. And lastly, I made commitments to myself. For my 18th birthday, which was on March 11th, I promised myself I was not going to purge anymore. And so far, I've honored that commitment. And, of course, art still remains my outlet for making sense of my pain. Art has given me confidence and much-needed self-efficacy, which is so crucial for combating anything. I have been able to apply this lesson to other areas of my life, like wanting to do better by the environment and the creatures in it. I recycle, compost, I pick up trash when I see it, and wanting to make other people happy. I have meaningful conversations with individuals, and I tell others how grateful I am for them. Standing before you here today, telling a group of strangers my story, is just one more step forward. As I move forward, the pain which I thought was dictating my life is not really gone. But now, I carry it down the road I choose to walk, not the other way around. At some point, everyone feels a lot of pain. And it sucks. And it's not your fault. And we can learn to live with it, because if we couldn't, we wouldn't be alive to feel it. You're alive. I'm alive. And we're moving forward. All steps forward can be taken one at a time and in small portions, and with the understanding that we will have stumbles and missteps, but those are merely course corrections. I encourage you to make the small changes. Take the small steps you know will make you and the world happier and healthier, and to take back that feeling of being in control of what comes next. We have that power. Don't wait to be in an office with a really nice lady with short brown hair. If I could, right now I would go back to that 8-year-old girl in that lady's office and tell her that she has everything she needs, and that her life will not happen to her, but with her. I would say, this is your life. Now go get it.